that continues to brew over the White House and the Russian investigation. Ryan, what are you learning this morning?
Yeah, Chrissy, good morning to you. And you talk about that cloud. And even though the president may be out of town, it is surrounding the investigation into Russia's attempt to intervene in the U.S. election. And while the White House wasn't necessarily thrilled with a special counsel being named, there was some that it hoped that it would rein in the drip, drip, drip of reports and accusations. But if the last 24 hours are any indication, the leaks will continue.
The New York Times is reporting that President Trump bragged to the Russian foreign minister and the Russian ambassador in the Oval Office about his firing of FBI Director James Comey, saying it relieved great pressure from the Russia investigation. The report also says Mr. Trump called Comey, quote, crazy, a real nut job. The White House is not denying the Times story, which is raising new questions about President Trump's intent in firing Comey. Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy shared a link to the report on Twitter, saying in his own words, quote, this is what obstruction looks like. Republican Congressman Scott Taylor isn't so sure.
But of course there is context with text, and we don't know the context of the meaning itself and what he was trying to do. We don't know that, of course. But
meanwhile, sources tell CNN that Russian officials bragged that they had cultivated a strong relationship with former Trump advisor, retired General Michael Flynn, and believe they could use him to influence Donald Trump and his team. Officials caution, however, that the Russians might have exaggerated their influence with Trump's team in those intercepted conversations. Flynn's lawyer declined to comment. In a statement, the White House said, quote, we are confident that when these inquiries are complete, there will be no evidence to support any collusion between the campaign and Russia. A member of the House Intelligence Committee is questioning why President Trump remained loyal to Flynn.
Why in God's name did the White House keep this guy on for 18 days after Sally Yates went to the White House and said this guy is a national security risk? So it's one of the many weird and unanswered questions in this investigation.
And after days of incendiary headlines, CNN has learned that White House lawyers are researching what a possible Trump impeachment might look like.
All of this relates to official White House operations, so the White House counsel's office will handle some of it, but some of it involves Donald Trump personally, and he needs a lawyer.
But sources tell CNN that impeachment is still a distant possibility at this point. White House officials believe the president has the backing of Republican allies in Congress, and the Democratic establishment remains cautious about calling for impeachment.
As for the former FBI Director James Comey, he has agreed to testify in an open hearing for the Senate Intelligence Committee. That will take place sometime after Memorial Day. Meanwhile, a source familiar with his thinking has told CNN that Comey personally believes that the president was attempting to influence his judgment on the Russia investigation, but whether or not that rises to the level of obstruction of justice is an open question. Christy?
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Always